So we get a lot of questions about the differences between fractional CMO and interim CMO. And the topic came up recently where, someone was saying, I don't want to become forever effectively an outsourced head of marketing. And it's a pretty common scenario that I find, fractional CMO seems like a great starting point for someone who's looking to stay solo, earn a six-figure plus revenue and income, and not have to turn into an agency and not have to do all the freelancing done for you services. And it kind of is a nice ground. So if you go back and look at my DMAT training, doing, managing, advising, teaching, I'll put a link to it somewhere up here. And yeah, if you go back to that training, you're going to notice that with the evolution that I usually recommend is you're in the beginning, you're doing the work, and then eventually you're going to be managing the work, and then eventually you're going to be advising if you get there, and then eventually you're going to be teaching. And that's a kind of a path of leverage for an independent marketing consultant. Now, around that management component, there's this idea of fractional, right? So the concept, the difference between doing and managing is you're not really responsible for the day-to-day execution of all the different tasks. That's what freelancers do. That's what agencies do. You're more in a management capacity, which means your job is to strategize, to produce the right projects, to get everything done, but not necessarily to be the ones with hands on keyboard doing it all yourself. And so there's kind of a couple ways to approach it. The way I approach the fractional role today, I don't usually take on clients. I have one legacy client that I'm essentially, doing lightweight marketing for them while they don't have a marketing manager, but that's a client I've worked with since 2019. Otherwise, I do pure advising. But when I do look at taking on fractional type roles these days, it's in an interim capacity. So what is the difference between interim CMO and a fractional CMO, if you will? The difference is time. So with an interim CMO, I'm looking to work with a client from no more than 3 months, maybe 6 if it's the right client, or maybe 4, depending on a whole bunch of factors. And the reason for that is at this stage, I can take on enough clients in advisory, and my average retainer is somewhere between 3 and 7 grand per month. US, but but it doesn't make sense for me to be managing people's marketing anymore because I just don't have the bandwidth for it, and people are readily signing up for and staying with my advisory services. So if that's not the case for you, I would generally say don't try to sell advising, maybe have it as an option, go back to the management phase or the execution phase, and do what you need to do to slowly build up the leverage so you can do either going from doing to managing to advising, and advising to teaching. So the interim CMO effectively is someone who works in a short-term basis for their clients to manage all of their marketing. And for me, I think of it as like a SWAT team. So usually companies are somewhat distressed, or they have or maybe they're growing quickly and they just don't have someone in place, and they need help finding a better way to manage their marketing. Maybe things have changed and they're basically like, we need some help and we need it quickly. So with those particular clients, generally I'll charge between 7 and 10 grand per month for a maximum of 3 months. And obviously that can be a little bit flexible depending on what's involved, where I jump in and I say, okay, we're going to set up the systems, right? We're going to get your organization structure in place, your people, your processes, your performance tracking, your all the places. You're going to organize everything according to my framework and my method. And by the way, all that is in a package I have in on kevin.me called the Advisor Operating System. It's part of my membership and training, but don't worry about that right now. Point is, I jump in and I get everything set up, and I get the right people working on the right things, and I stop doing things that are obviously not working, and I begin to build a marketing program. And part of that is the recurring processes, and part of that is setting up projects and managing those projects. What I don't do is what I call the long tail of execution. So I'm not doing the hands-on work for the whole thing. I'm basically saying, okay, we need a writer, we need a designer, we need an ads person, we need a web developer, we need an SEO professional, maybe we need those are the big ones. And I'll be a strategist, and I'll look at the budgets and make sure your analytics are good, and I'll help you build out a marketing program. And then we'll decide on what needs to be done. So if we need a new website, I'm bringing together content, I'm doing strategy, I'm bringing together developers, designers, and I'm going to basically help produce that outcome, but I'm not going to be any one of those things. I might help draft outlines, I might help draft briefs, I might go hire people rather, or fire if needed. And I'll basically manage the whole thing, but for a fixed fee, I'm going to be your effective outsourced marketer for a while, for 3 to 6 months max. And that's an interim CMO, whereas a fractional CMO is more of a long-term play. It's something that, generally speaking, people are going to want you to be around for a year, sometimes much longer. My average advisory client is over 2 years. So, some people stay with me for 5 or 6 or plus years, and others, turn over after 6 to 8 months, depending on the size and nature of their business and what their needs are. And so my point is, though, that what I would recommend if you don't want to just be a full-time outsourced marketing manager, which is effectively what a fractional CMO is, you can limit it in scope and then move to an advisory capacity after that initial 3 to 6 months. You've got the people in place, you've got the systems in place, you've got data is working well, you've got an ads person doing their thing, or you've got a web developer working on this thing. So you've got things under control, you've got a few irons in the fire, you're working with the right people. This obviously assumes that your client has a budget to do all this stuff with other people. And your job is to find people at the right price point and the right skill level and the right expertise to do it in a way that helps you produce a business result for your client. Because you can't just throw money at the problem. You have to be creative. So I have a developer in the Philippines who's obviously less expensive than a North American developer. I have an ads manager who's in China, and he's excellent, and he's also less expensive than a typical agency locally. I've got designers that are local and abroad. I've got writers that are local and abroad, and so on and so forth. So I kind of produce the best results for my clients. I've got email automation specialists. I've got all kind, you name it. I've got someone in my roster, and it's taken years to develop that roster, by the way. And just a side note, I consider my roster of vetted freelancers to be part of my intellectual property. I don't just hand them out to people willy-nilly, if you will. They're part of my consulting engagement. They're part of the value I create, because eventually I can go away and my clients can retain those people for the long term and have really qualified people that don't really need to be managed doing those pieces for them and doing it very, very well at differing price points. And depends on the client, depends on the situation, but sometimes that helps me really produce a very profitable result, to the point where even savings on some of these contractor expenses and other expenses offset my fees, which are quite high. So all that is to say is interim CMO is great. The mindset is I'm going to drop in and make sure that I'm going to help put out fires. I'm going to make sure we're stop doing things that are not working clearly. I'm going to audit stuff. I'm going to get my people and my systems into place. And then maybe I'm going to help you hire an in-house marketing manager, or maybe you're going to help, you're going to bring on someone internally who's going to be your part-time coordinator / marketing, admin. And then I can give them jobs to do, and they can manage this outsourced group of people. And so that's it in a nutshell. It's obviously more complicated than that, but if you're thinking about the fractional versus interim CMO model, you can head over to my website, kevin.me. It'll point you in the direction of all my training. I've got templates and training and systems and all kinds of stuff. A really great community with a Slack group. We do, calls. We do monthly trainings with the guest experts and myself. So everything you need to run a highly profitable marketing consulting practice is over on that site. It's not on that site, but it'll link you to the right place. So be sure to get on the email list there and learn more. But otherwise, I hope to see you in the next video. If you're new around here, please like and subscribe. You'll get more content to help you build a more profitable marketing practice. Bye.